very honored to be with you guys today in a room full of people that are focused on being bold, credible, creative, purposeful, and servant-like in your professional endeavors. I'm really humbled to be here. The clock is ticking. I'm going to throw a lot at you guys pretty quickly, and I'm really looking forward to this time. And again, I'm very humbled to be here. When I sat where you now sit, I had a vague idea of what I was going to do for my career. But I had no idea at that point, nor could I have even forecast what the twists and turns and ups and downs of my career path has been over the last, since I graduated here in the spring of 2003. So by showing of hands, how many of you guys right now, without any doubt, know what your purpose is? Okay, excellent. A few of you. All right, now how many of you know what you love to do, what things that fire you up that you just enjoy doing? I don't know why we have such a hard time not seeing those two as one thing. So hopefully in the next few minutes I can give you a little clarity for those of you that didn't raise your hand the first time, because our culture has got a really warped sense, I guess, of purpose and what that means. There's books, authors, blogs, countless blogs of people talking about ways to go find your purpose as if it's some insurmountable feat. I've had friends that have really struggled with this, guys, that have been immobilized. They haven't taken any action. They haven't sought to further their career. They've lacked self-confidence. They've been unsure if what the next step they're going to do is in line with their quote-unquote purpose, or even worse, they're immobilized because they're afraid that it's not in line with the Lord's quote-unquote purpose for them in their life. So they've taken no action, and it's debilitated them and handicapped them professionally in their growth and their potential. I'm just a grown-up kid from a great family in Newdill, Tennessee, which none of you guys have ever heard of. It's 45 minutes north of town. And yet here I am in front of you guys. My first job, literally my first job, was shoveling manure. It's really hard to find passion around that particular task. I wanted to fly and I wanted to play drums. So I used to beg my parents to drive to B&A so that I could watch the planes land and take off, dreaming about what it'd be like to be in a cockpit. And I'd break the rules and stay up late on a school night to watch the last 10 minutes of the late show so that I could watch the drummer and the band. And that's actually how I learned how to play drums. But the defining moment in my life came through an unforeseen sudden tragedy, the sudden loss of my grandma. That triggered a divine chain reaction that 2 years later led to the most important decision that I've ever made in my life, which was to become a Christian. And I realize how cliche that sounds, and I deserve those of you that are rolling your eyes at me for saying that, but the fact of the matter is that that is the truth. My life changed at that point. When I tried to hand off, by serving others and hand off the direction of my life to the Lord and His will for me, everything in my life changed. I went from being the quiet kid in the back to the influencer in the front. At no doing of my own, I've been in leadership positions throughout my life in virtually every circumstance that my life has touched. I chose to come to Lipscomb because I wanted to play music, and I wanted to stay in Nashville to do that. I changed my major 3 times my freshman year, ultimately ended up in computer information systems, having never programmed, because I thought I could help churches save money. I had no idea I would meet the love of my life on the first day. I had no idea that mission trips were possible outside of a youth group. I had no idea that a video of me leading singing in a Devo in Jamaica would connect me to one of the most talented producers that I've ever met. I had no idea a group of guys that saw me play in a band at Rites of Spring would change my life. And as graduation came up, I had no idea what I was going to do. So fast forward 12 years today. I'm 34. I'm married to my best friend for almost 11 years. After 4 years, a dozen tests, 2 IVF procedures, I get to be a dad to 2 incredible little dudes. I've been to Jamaica 26 times. I've led, directly or indirectly, nearly 800 people on mission trips to Jamaica. I co-founded a nonprofit organization that's built or repaired 24 structures, a school, and painted countless other homes. I got paid to play drums. I built 178 websites in 8 years. 3 of those were for churches, saving them money. As the youngest leader in the history of CJ Advertising, I took the web department from the red to the second biggest financial revenue generating source for that agency, from 2 people to 16 people, all in less than 4 years. And in doing so, I was bored out of my mind. So I created demand for a business that didn't exist except for the web. Then I bought the stuff and made it exist in real life, and I grew it, and then I sold it. And then I left the agency in a title that many people aspire to attain in their entire career, with a 6-month-old, a car note, and a mortgage, to start a social enterprise company before that was really even a thing, much less a business buzzword. 12 months to the day from starting that, we sold that. Now I'm 3.5 years into a company that I co-founded that currently has an 8-figure valuation that allows me to be in the music industry on the other side of it and allows me to start companies, which is what I'm best at. And next week, I'm going to authorize the submittal of a 501c3 application for 153, a new nonprofit organization that we founded to serve people specifically in the St. Thomas Parish of Jamaica, which is the poorest parish in Jamaica for now. We intend to change that through education and social entrepreneurial endeavors before we expand it. I'm also a pilot, and I do play drums still for fun. I failed horribly. I've made bad decisions. I've been in dark places of self-doubt, and I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've hung out with friends in houses with dirt floors, and I've hung out with friends in tour buses under arenas right after they've walked off the stage. I've officiated the wedding of 4 people that I worked with at the ad agency, and I've baptized a spouse of one of my employees. I've also been in situations where my colleagues and business partners are not only not Christians, but openly make fun of people that are. I felt isolated and alone as a believer, and I've also worked with some of the most godly people that I've ever met. I tell you all this not out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility, for it's God that's working in each of us to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. None of this stuff has anything to do with me other than it's how the Lord is choosing to paint a picture around my life. He could take it all away tomorrow. So with one eye on the present professional endeavors I have and one eye on what's coming in the future, I move daily to try to relinquish my selfish ambition and selfish desires to try to bring glory to whom it is warranted. Solomon, in his unmatched wisdom, said a person can do nothing better than to eat, drink, and find satisfaction in their toil. In my experience, adversity and difficulty are part of it, regardless of what you guys are going to do professionally. But if you get to a point where I was, where you hated going in and day out, I would encourage you to take a moment to step back and reevaluate. I mentioned before I was bored out of my mind at the agency, even in the middle of that crazy rapid growth, but I was, because I wasn't really being challenged. And I had a longing for more. So I set out to understand me better, my passions, how I could best deploy those professionally and just in period. I felt like I had many that were unacknowledged and symbolically in the sand, in the ground. So I wanted to get them out and put them to work. So I locked myself in an empty studio. Having read 2 or 3 books a month, I never saw this. I just went and did it. I locked myself in a room and sat down and was honest with myself at what I believe the Lord innately had put in me that I was good at, that I liked to do. And then I took the Myers-Briggs and then the Strength Finder and several other personality tests. And then I took the keywords from all those descriptives of who I am as a person, my personality type, my themes. And I matched that with my self-analysis. And to my surprise, every single item that I put down matched up directly with the keyword from one of those things that I took. So then I segmented all that into buckets. And ultimately, I turned each of those buckets into businesses or nonprofits. Then I prioritized them and made a to-do list, the mother of all to-do lists. And I'm actively working down that list now, and I still add stuff to it, provided it goes with my purpose as an individual, which is to reflect, honor, serve, inspire, and enjoy. So that action allowed me to see my purpose a little bit more clearly and how I can deploy those things. If you've been looking for clarity, as many of you may, because 5 of you maybe in this whole room raised your hand when you knew what your purpose was. It's not something insurmountable. It's not some mystery. To me, it's as simple as aligning your passions with your strengths, and then you'll find the area you can focus in for your quote-unquote purpose. Align your passions with your strengths and find your purpose. have it singular on the screen. It could be purposes. There may be multiple things. For me, it's Jamaica. It's local mission efforts, and it's my spinning up companies, because the companies I create for me personally are a means to a different end for my family that allow me to do this other stuff that has way better value. So if you're like me and if you need to do this, I would encourage you to do it if you haven't, because it really helped me. But you may find after looking at yourself and your passions that you may have to go start a company or multiple companies, as I've done, or you might have to move or make major life changes. And I'm standing in front of you as a person that's done that. And it's not an easy road, and it's not all, everything is going to be perfect. There's going to be difficulties. But I'm telling you that it can be done. So I would encourage you to go and do. Find what those passions are, what you love to do. Look at your strengths. Go and do it. And don't hesitate. Don't let fear cripple you. And if I can help you in that regard in any way, let me know. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Mark, Shane, and Dave, thank you so much. It was great. And thank you for coming. Our chapel checker is here. If you go out this door, she's wearing a red jacket. You can use that chapel credit. We appreciate you coming. Hope that you'll support these talks in the future.